Attention passionate Montreal, Canadiens fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the Atlantic Division and it could shake up the entire conference. We're talking about a direct impact on Montreal Canadiens' path to another Stanley Cup run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Montreal Canadiens fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Montreal, CANADIENS fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying attention to the latest buzz around the NHL, especially concerning the Vancouver Canucks and their trade ambitions, you know that things are heating up significantly in the trade market. And this has major implications for the Montreal Canadiens, a team that's been quietly rebuilding but is now facing some serious competition. We're talking about a story that could reshape the division and ultimately the conference. So, what's going on? Well, according to the very well-informed Cam Robinson, the Canucks have made it clear they are actively looking to acquire a solid second-line center. This isn't just a casual rumor, it's a direct signal to other teams, including the Canadiens, who are also in the hunt for that key piece to their roster. What makes this situation so intriguing is the players that are linked to Vancouver. Names like Jack Roslovic and Marco Rossi have come up in recent reports, making the Canucks a direct competitor for Montreal's own trade targets. Both players are highly touted prospects and proven NHLers. Jack Roslovic, for example, has shown flashes of offensive brilliance and versatility, capable of playing both center and wing, which makes him a valuable asset for any team looking to bolster their middle ice. Marco Rossi, the young Austrian forward, has been impressive in his limited NHL appearances, but has the potential to become a top-six center if given the right development and opportunity. These are exactly the kinds of players the Canucks are targeting as they look to improve their depth and push for a playoff spot. But it's not just about acquiring a second-line center. The Canucks are also rumored to be exploring a few other options, possibly including Mason McTavish, another promising young player who could fit into their long-term plans. This creates a bidding war, and as we know, when multiple teams chase after the same player, prices tend to spike. So it's not just about the player's talents, it's about the value and the cost that teams are willing to pay. And for the Canadiens, that means they need to be strategic. Are they willing to get into a bidding war, or do they have other options? The trade market is complex, and the stakes are high because acquiring a top-tier center could be the missing piece to push them closer to Stanley Cup contention. Now, you might be wondering, what does this mean for Montreal specifically? Well, as the Canadiens continue their rebuild, they've been focusing on developing young talent like Juraj Slavkovsky, Cole Caulfield, and Kaiden Guhle. But adding a veteran or proven NHL center could significantly accelerate their competitive timeline. And with the Canucks now in the mix, Montreal has to be extra cautious. They might need to reconsider their approach or even prepare to pay a premium if they really want to land one of these coveted players. It's a tricky balancing act. Do they go all in and try to outbid Vancouver, or do they wait for other options that might be more affordable? This whole situation also raises an interesting question about the potential interest in Kirby Dach. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Why would Vancouver be interested in Kirby Dach? Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Dach, who has shown flashes of brilliance and versatility, could be an attractive piece for a team like Vancouver that's looking to add depth and skill to their middle six. If the Canucks aren't fully sold on Dach's long-term potential, and if they're willing to pay a significant price, it could be a move that benefits both sides. For Montreal, it's a tough pill to swallow. Losing a young player like Dach might sting, but if the trade nets them a true second-line center or a high-impact prospect, it could be worth it. Now, let's take a moment to understand the bigger picture here. The NHL trade landscape tends to heat up during late summer, especially in August. Teams are eager to finalize their rosters before training camp and the upcoming season, so the next few weeks are going to be pivotal. Montreal's management, led by Kent Hughes, has shown a willingness to be aggressive, but also cautious. They want to improve their team without overpaying, and with Vancouver now in the mix, they'll have to strategize carefully. This trade saga also brings into focus the importance of internal development versus acquiring proven talent. The Canadiens have been building through the draft and focusing on their prospects like Slavkovsky and Caulfield, but the push for a solid second-line center could be a game-changer. It could help them bridge the gap between their young stars and the veteran leadership they need to compete day in and day out. And with the division becoming more competitive, especially with teams like the Canucks making aggressive moves, Montreal must stay sharp and adaptable. Now, let's talk about some of the other players who could be involved in this equation. Jack Ryslevic, for instance, has been a player who's shown he can produce offensively and add speed to a team's middle six. His versatility makes him a very attractive option for teams like Vancouver and Montreal. Marco Rossi, on the other hand, is still a bit of a wild card. Coming off an injury-plagued season, he's a player with immense upside, but he'll need the right environment to fully blossom. Mason McTavish, another name thrown into the mix, has already shown he can play at the NHL level and could be a valuable asset depending on what the Canucks are willing to offer. And let's not forget about Kirby Dach, who has had his share of ups and downs, but still remains a young and promising player. If Vancouver is willing to pay a premium for him, it might be a move that shakes up the entire trade landscape for the Canadiens. It's a possibility that makes this story even more fascinating because it's not just about acquiring a second-line center. It's about strategic moves that could define the next few seasons for these teams. So, fans of the Canadiens, what do you think? Are you worried about losing out on some of these prospects? Or do you see this as an opportunity for Montreal to make a bold move and improve their roster? It's a delicate dance, and the stakes are high. The Canucks are clearly not messing around. They're serious about upgrading their team, and if they're willing to pay the price, Montreal will have to decide how far they're willing to go to keep or acquire that key piece. This is shaping up to be one of the most exciting trade periods in recent memory, and Montreal fans should be glued to their screens because the next few weeks could bring some major surprises. And remember, guys, the NHL is a league of patience and timing. Sometimes the right deal comes at the right moment, and sometimes you have to wait for the perfect opportunity. Montreal has plenty of assets and young talent, but they also need to be smart, know when to hold 'em and when to fold 'em. The trade market in August is unpredictable, and with Vancouver now in the mix, every move counts. The Canadiens could be on the verge of a significant upgrade, or they might hold steady and look for other options down the line. Whatever happens, this story is far from over, and I'll be here to keep you updated on every development. This whole scenario underscores how competitive and dynamic the NHL trade landscape is right now, especially with teams like Vancouver making bold moves. For Montreal, it's about staying patient, being strategic, and making sure they don't overpay. Because at the end of the day, the goal remains the same: building a team that can contend for the Stanley Cup, and doing so with smart, calculated moves that position them for success in the future. So, fans, keep your eyes peeled, stay engaged, and let's see how this story unfolds over the coming weeks. The Canadiens are at a crucial juncture, and every decision they make could shape their destiny. Will they land that second-line center? Will they have to watch Vancouver swoop in and take their target? That's what makes this story so compelling, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. Remember, I'll be back soon with more updates, rumors, and analysis. So stay tuned because the Montreal Canadiens are just getting started this season, and the trade drama is only heating up. Thanks for sticking with me, and as always, go Canadiens!